Good afternoon, everybody. This is Neeraj Sangani here, Chief Business Officer, Hansa Security. Thank you, everybody, for joining this. I actually had this idea a few weeks back, and we were discussing what is going to be the role of customer relationship management going forward in the context of the customer journeys and in the context of the integration of online and offline, and how brands and organizations are looking at a seamless approach to this subject. And during this time, I attended a few global conferences and I figured out all the marketing stack owners were primarily talking about customer experience. And for a moment, I thought that, hey, these guys have hijacked this subject. This is not for them. This is for the marketing folks. This is for organizations like Hansa Security, which thrive on understanding businesses, helping clients acquire customers, engage customers, and then ensuring that we get better and better ROI from the existing set of customers. But that's been the story of the MarTech situation over the years. Big money from MarTech companies pumped into hard selling big ideas and hijacking and overtaking big ideas. Having said that, customer experience is here to stay. And how is it going to impact our lives is something which I want to talk about going forward for the next 45 minutes. So relationships are formed by interactions, and interactions are driven by customer experience. And how do you explain that? CRM, as we know it, has been there for the last 30 years and has served the brands well. But customer experience is what is going to drive brand valuation going forward. And in fact, when I am talking to a few senior people, everybody's even talking of, instead of return on investment, people are talking about return on experience. And is it really valuable? So it's a good debate to have. It's a good discussion to have. I think we are on our way. There is no going back as far as I'm concerned from a customer experience point of view. But what is the way forward? And for me, customer relationship managements have always been about loyalty programs, referrals, repurchase decisions, transaction-based interactions, service, after sales, roadside assistance, points, redemption of points. And that's how the entire story of customer relationship management has been stitched up. So what do things change when we talk of customer experience? It's basically about the experience. It's basically about understanding the intent of your existing customers. It's basically about providing convenience to your customers, and most of the time surprising and delighting the customers with what they were not really expecting the brand to do. And I think that's the primary shift. A lot of this shift is enabled by technology, but I would still say primarily needs to be led by the strategy team and the consulting team and organizations. Today, marketers are in a mad race to give their customers a superlative brand experience and not just manage a relationship. Managing a relationship becomes a very, very transactional way of looking at things. A superlative experience is what is going to drive greater business and stickiness for brands. In this context, I've always believed that customer experience management is the way forward. And why is it the key for business success is what I will share with you over the next few minutes. I very clearly understood and articulated it. Research after research after research has shown that brands and customers live on different planets as far as customer experience is concerned. Just have a look at the statistics. 50% of the brand owners believe that they are doing great and excellent customer service. Just look at the bottom pie. Only 11% of those customers actually believe that to be true. So there is a huge disconnect amidst what brands believe they are doing and what is the receptivity from the customer point of view. With a lot of clients, with a lot of players, we time and again realize that they excel in customer service reviews, customer service ratings, and they come out inevitably on top of those ratings, and they spend crores of rupees advertising those things. But then on the sly and on the side, I always have those conversations. I might have been ranked number one there, but that's not what my customer actually perceives me to be. So how do I understand that? How do I change the customer perception? And that's a big challenge. So it's very good to talk statistics, very good to do above the line communication and say that I'm the best in customer service, but is it really translating into best customer service? And how do you translate that into the best experience is a big challenge that everybody, right from the boardroom down to the sales team at the dealerships, is facing. So how do we move this needle? The worrying fact in all of this is the customer experience index quality in the last 3 years, and this is according to Forrester research released a few months back, very clearly shows that there is zero progress. And let me iterate the phrase: zero progress as far as customer experience is concerned. Very quickly, I'll just run you through the numbers. So if you look at 2016, what are the numbers like? It was poor and very poor. We are still there. 60% of the people believe that they're okay in customer service. The good quotient has not gone up. In fact, it has gone down over the last 3 years from 17 to 15%. Nobody in the excellent zone. So this is a huge worrying factor. Basically, what this means is people are talking about customer experience, but are not able to articulate, understand, and put strategies in place which will really impact the customer and change his experience about the brand. Very quickly, and I think this is the barometer by which I would measure most of my customer experience. Less than 15% of senior executives in an organization have a view on the complete end-to-end customer experience. They don't even have a view of the customer experience. And if that is the case, then how is the organization going to transform into a customer experience driven organization? There are multiple teams, there are digital experts, there are analytics experts, there are martech experts, and you have cross-functional teams coming into place now to dwell on the customer experience. But what's the output over the last 3 years? Certainly in one of the most advanced markets in the US, the success ratio is very, very poor. And look at the other pie chart. How many of our customer facing employees can describe the complete end to end? So I'm talking about customer facing employees' ability to describe the complete end to end customer experience. Only 16%. Out of 100 salespeople, if only 16 can even articulate or describe the complete end to end customer experience, at a high level, I'm not even talking at a granular level. So these are worrying factors. I think organizations need to take cognizance of this, and it's not a small survey. This was done with more than 212 customer experience professionals from different organizations, again done by Forrester. So all this research is a very telling comment on the state of customer experience in the world. Marketers really will need to take charge of the customer experience. And I tried hard to think of who owns the customer experience. Is it the CEO that needs to drive this change? Is it the board that needs to drive this change? Is it the CMO who needs to drive this change? Is it the product guy who needs to drive it? I think the marketer is the best positioned in the whole scheme of things to drive customer experience because he understands the product, he understands marketing, he understands people, he understands sales, and he's able to stitch together a story which will give a compelling customer experience for a brand. And I think the CMO needs to take center stage from delivering a customer experience. So the premise seems to be today that technology is the differentiator between a good customer experience and a bad customer experience. And this is the flawed logic of it. Because if we start at the wrong end of the stick of which marketing stack should I buy? Oh, is it one stack against the other? Or is it a hybrid stack that I need to buy? Or do I need to buy, say, one stack and then get a managed services partner who will manage it? So that's the wrong end of the stick to start a conversation for. And if you do not have your customer strategy, customer experience strategy in place, I think we should not bother having a discussion on which technology platform we use, because then you are just paying lip service to customer experience. This is a truth. This is, I think everybody should live by this in the marketing world. It cannot be technology centric. It cannot be product centric. It has to be only human centric, people centric, and that's the only way to win the customer experience war. And as soon as brands understand this and the marketing teams and all teams align to work towards this, is when you will experience success in the marketplace. Delivering great customer experience is all about orchestrating and personalizing the entire journey. So how do you stitch this entire journey together? How do you make more sense of it? How do you include managing convenience, micro moments, delivering contextual communication at the touch point of the customer's choice when he is ready to receive the experience? So the right place, right time, right context, and the right content. That's the only thing which is going to win the story for us. And I actually will go back more than 30 years, and there's a brand which I really admire, which has been giving exemplary customer service, customer experience. And long before most marketers got onto it, they were onto it a long time back. And of course, the brand of here is the ubiquitous, the Disney brand. I had a lot of frequent interactions with the Disney brand for a variety of reasons over the last few years. And I am amazed at the manner in which they have successfully served the most fickle, expressive, and moody customers, the children. And that too, they've done it with amazing success. And I'm sure people who visited Disney parks across the world, the other big compliment from a Disney point of view is any park you go to the world, the experience stays the same. So whether you are in Hong Kong, whether you're in Paris, whether you are in LA, the experience does not change. And it's a tribute to the manner in which they've gone about building this brand and delivering that experience. It's not just about creating the characters and creating a brand out of them. It's the experience which has built the brand. I'm very convinced about it. And if you believe that, then the return on experience for Disney brands would be the highest in the world at this point of time. And again, how do they use digital? I mean, you look at what's my target audience? Children and their parents who come into my park. How do I create a great experience for them? And how do I correlate all of that to the digital piece which is evolving at this point of time and make that experience great? The wristbands at Disney, which have been launched a couple of years back. So when I went there to Anaheim, visitors get access to all the park. There's a wristband which is given out. I can order it online, I can receive it at home, and then I just wear and walk into the park. And then it allows me to do all kinds of things at the park, right from paying for Disney merchandise, getting a fast pass, which is a priority pass at all those rides, getting me to unlock the Disney hotel room. I can unlock my Disney hotel room with my wristband, giving me personalized greetings. So I walk into a Disney park and then they say, "Hey, Neeraj, hope you're doing well and hope your son is fine." Imagine Mickey Mouse yelling out to my son, "Hey, Jay, how are you doing?" It's a great feeling for the kids, but they know it before you enter the zone, and they treat you very differently and very specially. I'll just very quickly walk you through the Disney bands which have currently been introduced. So I think to enable this entire customer experience, you need a management framework as to how you'll go about it. These things don't happen by accident. Every small gesture at Disney is well planned and well thought through. And if you want to drive your customer experience, you'll have to do the same. But you cannot do this in isolation. You need to create a management framework to create a great customer experience. It takes a lot of effort, application, and intelligence to create. Everybody talks about a unified digital customer experience strategy today. A lot of people can very easily do it theoretically, but I have no clue of how to put it in place. And when reality hits you, and when on the ground there are different pieces in different silos, how do you bring it all together is when the challenge arises. And this is where it falls between the cracks. And it will always be entry for some marketing automation tool, and we feel that this is my nirvana, this is going to solve all my problems, and strategy will exist out of exit out of the room, and you'll start talking about the automation tool and how you will make it work and how your unified customer digital experience journey will fall into place. It really does not unfold like that in real life. So there are proprietary tools that will need to be built to differentiate brand experiences, and that is not an easy answer. So how do you go about building those tools, and how do you make sense of it? How do you automate the process on scale and keep the human experience or the human side of the experience alive? The problem with tools is that they plug and play will never work, and most of the tools or most of the thought process in terms of tools operates in this context. So you cannot just pick up a tool, plug it into your system. It will not work. Your dealer management systems, your retail POS, all of them are uniquely configured, and tools will need to be uniquely configured for that. The strategy needs to be well thought through, seamlessly defined, and of course at every point of time there needs to be measurable KPIs which need to be put in place to ensure that you really are on top of the game at this point. You know, as I spoke very early on, most organizations operate in silos. The CMO, the CXO, the CDO, the CTO, the CIO, the CFO, sales, after sales. There are in some places strategy departments, there's some places digital departments, in some places innovation departments, product development departments, all islands of excellence and talented teams, restless to make an impact on the organization. But unfortunately, each chasing a different rainbow, leading to a riot of colors and a mixed up painting instead of a customer experience masterpiece. I love this picture, and I thought it best exemplifies what I've been talking about for the last 15-20 minutes. This is, of course, everybody in the world knows this image, which is Scream, a masterpiece by Edward Munch. Uh, you can really destroy your customer experience strategy if you don't have all these people working together in sync to deliver on your strategy. How does one design a great customer experience? You need an end-to-end customer view. If you do not have it, if your call center does not have it, if your dealership does not have it, if your marketing team does not have it, if your digital team does not have it, you are not going to be able to deliver a seamless customer view. All of them should be able to see one view of the customer, the capability, intelligence, and the right tools to deliver insights. I think data is not an issue in today's world. All reasonably mature, large organizations have a swathe of data, but they are sitting in different silos. They're sitting in different formats. They're sitting under different heads which are not talking to each other. How do you bring all this data together? How do you make sense of it? How do you get insights out of it? There's a lot of dark data lying with a lot of clients, including retail, including automotive space, including financial institutions. How do you make sense? And this is all sensitive voice of customer experience, feedback, social media feedback data, which needs to be brought together to give a single view and give a great customer experience. Then next is the ability to act real time upon insights. You know, a lot of organizations generate insights. Everybody has a BIU, everybody has an intelligence unit, but then they give out reports at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter. My friend, the moment has passed, the business is gone, the customer has moved on. No point generating insights after 3 months. How quickly can you get to the market with those insights? How quickly can you make things count is where the real use or the real value of the data resides. And the sooner we adapt to this style of operating, the better will be the return of experience. And as I said, the ability to integrate existing investments with people, technology, and processes will always be the key. And lastly, but not the least, thank you, but no thank you to the lift and shift and rip and replace. It's a strategy which large organizations follow: lift business from one team to move it to another, rip apart some technology piece and replace it with some other technology piece. These are quick fixes for 1 year promotions, not long-term solutions for brands, organizations, or customer experience frameworks. I think we need to be very cognizant of this and have a very, very thought through strategy in place. So I wanted to share, this is done by Roots, it's for a Cleveland clinic, but the manner in which the entire customer experience is visually brought alive, I thought is a very good example. So at one point we might think it's a boring example, but just look at the manner in which the employee experience, the clinic experience, and the patient experience, and how all of that is put together with integrity, teamwork, innovation, and compassion. And it very clearly articulates the role of each of the players in the organization and what is expected of them to deliver a great customer experience. Hansa Equity as an organization does this for a lot of their brands, and when we do consulting projects in the customer journey space and in the customer experience management space, we articulate our thoughts through a visual diary, through a storyboard process, where we bring this idea to life from a client perspective. And most importantly, it does not stay in the boardroom, but it percolates down to the teams through storyboarding. So I think it's an important tool to enhance customer experience. More and more organizations should adapt this tool to ensure that we communicate down the line of what is that we are trying to accomplish from an experience point of view. After doing all this, for me, the key question has always been, does the customer experience the difference? Organizations may believe they've got the marketing stacks in place, they've given the employees the training that is required, they have the reporting structures in place, they have the data in place, but how does the experience of the customer change? The customer experience will not change if you do not personalize the experience with never before moments. And those moments need to be real, and they need to be instant, and they need to be as close to real time as required. But of course, if you have a million plus customers, then this process needs to be driven with imagination and at scale. So one-to-one segment at scale of a few million customers, and that is the key challenge which a lot of organizations are facing. But that's what will differentiate the best in class companies from the average ones. It's a journey, it's a 2-3 year design experience process which organizations will have to travel, with senior management being integral part of this journey. So I had a very quick look at what types of customer research and feedback influence the development of a customer experience strategy. And what came up was pretty much what we know of, but all of these stories are not really stitched together. So there is relationship or transactional data, which kind of contributes to 80% of developing customer experience journeys. Journey mappings, 74% of the people mentioned that journey maps and customer journeys are important. Market research, customer interviews, customer segments, feedback, social media feedback, personas, focus groups, digital analytics, brand research, call recordings at call centers and contact centers, support tickets, the after sales service support, of course, and the ethnographic field studies and other syndicated stuff which help the entire process of putting and developing a customer experience strategy in place. You actually need to bring all these pieces together to really make a compelling story. How many brands do this at this point of time? Either we go to the customer or we go to the frontline sales manager, we take their feedback and we put together a strategy. But unless and until all of these pieces are integrated into the thought process, you will never have a compelling customer experience framework which will really serve you well over the years. For me, and again, I actually wanted to stay away from giving the most known names as examples because everybody will be talking about them. But it's hard not to mention some of the organizations which are really doing some amazing work. So what is the Amazon mission statement? We continue to aspire to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, and we recognize this to be no small or easy challenge. Look at the kind of innovations year after year, month after month, day after day that Amazon is doing just to change our customer experience, just to understand. I believe they run more than 10,000 experiments a day, 10,000 experiments a day globally to ensure that they are on top of customer experience and creating new differences. Amazon is an amazing example. The maniacal focus on what the customer needs is keeping them ahead of the curve. So what is Amazon today? How do you define it? Is it an e-commerce platform? Is it an intrinsic part of the customer's life? Just look at the continuous stream of innovations they keep on doing. From one-click process to one-day delivery to Amazon Go to opening shop in shop in Shopper Stop. They're now going the reverse cycle and opening shops, integration with Alexa, Amazon Prime, Amazon Music. They're creating an entire ecosystem. And of course, I would here also mention that Reliance Jio is also on the similar path, and probably they'll emerge very quickly as a big competitor to Amazon, which is keeping them on their feet and getting them to think and getting them to stay ahead of the curve, at least as far as India is concerned. And of course, globally, they have robos and they have drones delivering stuff to your house, and also a lot of experiments happening in the Silicon Valley at this point of time with Amazon. So amazing company at the cutting edge of experience at this point of time. We'll leave the valuation discussion for another day. Ask Nestle in India is a huge platform that has been created to serve mothers. It provides growth tracker for kids, customized meals, food recipe, advisory, nutrition informer, experts hats, and much more than that. Imagine the data that Nestle is gathering from a very involved and very engaged set of mothers over the last couple of months, and they actually promoting this pretty aggressively in the mainline mediums and gathering good support for themselves. And this is where they create the right content and they get the right context to ensure that they give a great customer experience. I think traditionally a big struggle for FMCG brands has been, how do I deliver a great customer experience? He's going to the millions of kirana shops in the marketplace and he's picking up a pack of biscuits or a pack of snack, and how do I deliver that great experience? Brands will have to find ways in the digital space to ensure that they create a unique brand experience which will give them a unique identity in the marketplace. I think going forward, creating brands only through the use of mass media like TV and print will exist in India, but they will start giving diminishing returns, and only brand experience led communication will give greater ROI. Another example which keeps coming back is an organization which is actually the envy of everybody. Nike is amazingly uh, on a very good journey from a digital experience point of view for customers. What they're doing currently is a chip embedded in the shoe which acts as a wellness system that tracks and analyzes workouts, has a personal guide, provides advisories from an athletic gear brand to a fitness and coaching services brand. Amazingly well executed, from exclusive drops to remote assistance and in-store services. Nike is offering artificial intelligence driven personalizations and exclusive membership experiences to its core consumers both online and in-store. Part of that is enabled by Nike's mobile app, which offers customers everything from a lifestyle inspiration, community, and expert assistance to exclusive access to products and events. The mobile experience even extends to the retail locations, creating a shopping ecosystem that empowers customers to take control with minimal yet more efficient assistance from store associates. Shoppers can pre-plan visits through the mobile app, making an appointment for an expert consultation with a store associate or reserving products for in-store trying, enabling them to have a seamless online and offline experience. So the store experience and the design is also unique. The Nike by You project allows visitors to make appointments with style experts to design their own pair of custom Nike IDs and sneakers with the help of a member of the staff. It's a very simple process. You walk into the shop and you start with a white shoe as your canvas, place it under a special light rig, and then customize the look on a digital display. The digital display is what I've shown you in the slides, and this is what it looks like, is then projected on, and you can customize the shoe going forward. So these are some of the designs one of the guys had done, and this is how it works. Shopper education and assistance. So if the shoe is currently in stock, shoppers can request to try on the pair of shoes and wait in the designated area for a Nike employee to bring the requested shoe within a few minutes. So you're not actually going all over the mall or the shopping area to figure out your shoe size. If you already logged in and on the app, the the store assistant will help you get the shoe to you. So that's the unique online offline integration which we talk about. The Nike sneakers stash, it offers users access to exclusive trainers based on the mobile and geolocation data. So if I happen to be in the Bandra area, by sharing my location via the app, users can discover those spots hidden throughout the city, and ShockDrop gives users mobile alerts that lets people buy sneakers instantly through its app or at a nearby store. So again, from experience to getting them to buy more and more. So if they run more, they're going to buy more, and it's a great strategy to have. If you get people to get out of their houses, run, be more active, they are more likely to buy your products. And of course, the last piece, which is always the convenience piece, the delivery and the logistics piece. So returns, exchanges, purchases, all of this made pretty easy by the curb services at Nike. Again, using swoosh text SMS, consumers can just simply text the store, pull in, grab, or return goods on the go. These are some innovations which Nike has put in place, which are paying you dividends in the advanced markets like the US. Of course, we're some time away from seeing all of this in India, but this is what certain big brands are doing in the FMCG space and in the retail space and in the banking space. Another example which I love to talk about, and today I'm going to dwell on a lot of examples because I didn't want to reduce this to giving some framework and gyan on how a customer experience is developed. I wanted to spend my time sharing with you what I believe are some of the great customer experience that a lot of brands which are in the online space, which are in the financial space, which are in the retail space are doing at this point of time. Spotify, I was one of the first customers for Spotify in India. They relaunched in the country a few months back. Stated mission to be world's #1 audio platform. They're well on their way across the world. They've taken some baby steps in India. But for the uninitiated, it's a subscription-based service. The experience is fantastic, and their recent acquisition of Tunigo, which allows users to manage playlists every moment. And believe me, I've used all the other music apps in the country, but the manner in which Spotify allows you to personalize your experience is beyond compare at this point of time. So a couple of the acquisitions they've made are Econest, and it's ML-based tech to provide recommendations and prediction lists give you a great listening experience. I think they are way ahead of the curve, and actually they bring in massive use of analytics and machine learning to give me real-time recommendations. And with every usage, the recommendations are getting sharper and better and better. Again, they are not going to rest on the user experience or the user interface they are created. So what's next for Spotify? Well, they're talking about a device called the Car Thing. The Car Thing is a device which helps people learn more and more about how people listen to music and podcasts. And of course, people are on the move, and that's when a lot of music gets consumed. In fact, according to their studies, Americans spend 70 billion hours behind the wheel every year. And Spotify mentioned that that's a lot of time spent on the road. So what do you do? What do you listen to help you get through these long hours? And how does Spotify help you listen to what you want to hear? And it's a unique product. They might not even put it out in the market at any point of time, but they have an innovation lab which is testing this product out. We won't be surprised if they come out with a voice thing and a home thing and then tell us. And probably for Indians, a lot of bathroom singers, yes, what's the bathroom thing coming up? So again, a unique product proposition, not resting on the laurels of creating an app which is now a global big seller. Having a subscription based model, so they are good to go for life, and I'm not going to get off Spotify easily anytime in the near future. So that's where customer experience is driving the return on investments or the return on experience, as I say. And for all those people who question the need for driving experience, I think there are enough examples out from an organizational and brand point of view which will cue to you that you need to drive customer experience in a big way. In the financial space, I just wanted to touch upon DBS. It's not have been a huge success in the country, but yes, a big success in the Singapore market. And it's a very compelling story. From a damn bloody slow bank in 29 to the best bank in the world in 2019. The huge amount of transformation which has happened in the last 3 years has been amazing. So in March 2016, they launched an innovative full stack digital banking platform, the DigiBank in Singapore. And the first week of its launch, they got more than 200,000 downloads. Within a year, the bank has expanded pretty well in India also and in Indonesia also. It's a US dollar 375 billion asset bank, serves more than 80% of Singapore's population, which is probably way ahead of the curve from a digital experience point of view. It represents a fintech-led strategy for entering new markets and growing organically across. And what is most important is the promise on which this entire uh, premise is built. And it starts with strategy, and it says live more and bank less. So the lesser time you spend with the bank, the more happier the customer is likely to be, the more engaged the customer is trying to be. And in that context, they've been very specific in terms of what they actually want to do from a customer point of view. So 5 strategies and very simple 5 points mentioned by them: quick digitization of services, understanding of customer behaviors, constant internal transformations, upgrades, technological innovations, establishing the culture of innovations, and using customer experience tools to enhance the customer experience. I think some of the very KPI driven initiatives, the bank updated its digital process, and it takes only 90 seconds to open an account with the bank, including the application, and only one account is required across all the apps that they use. The idea is to make banking joyful, and they have continuously been at it over the last few years to ensure that they deliver on this promise. The other important part, which keeps cropping up in all strategic conversations, is they actually converted the blockers into enablers. So every decision needs to go to a committee or needs to go to senior management, and a lot of times, because a lot of issues, people will block those approvals, or issues will get hung up, and it will not have a resolution, and things will get delayed. But they created a weekly meeting. A governance mechanism was put in place which ensured that decisions were taken together, and decisions were constantly and quickly approved to ensure that things don't get stalled from a customer experience point of view. The big important another aspect is the application of behavioral psychology. I am a student of behavioral economics, and I think that's the next big thing. It is basically the integration of the left brain and right brain. Data needs to be integrated with behavior. Data in isolation will never drive ROI unless you understand consumer behavior and you tie it up with how he is going to react and behave in the marketplace. That's the key sauce for success. So according to Ernst & Young's consumer behavior study, banks have always relied on traditionally available customer transaction data, age and wealth, to predict the customer preference, develop customer propositions, and create models. But the better strategy is to understand the financial savviness of the customer. So how savvy is he? How likely is he? What is his ability to take risk? What life stage is he at? And what does he want to do from a goal point of view that will drive his financial decisions? And of course, then you marry that with data, digital data, and how well he uses the digital apps or the banking apps or the other digital experiences that the bank gives. Only when you marry these two interfaces from a behavior and data point of view are you likely to win the customer race. And of course, innovation. How do you drive innovation? Everybody talks of innovations. Everybody believes they are an innovative company. But you need to take specific steps, specific actions to ensure that everybody actually practices innovation. It looks good on strategic slides. What DBS did was they put their leaders in the hackathon teams. They put their leaders in startup teams. They removed budgets from executive training programs. So no more sitting in some resort for 2 days and understanding strategy and delivering on products. Rather than telling teams to innovate, the teams were told to teach the rest of the organization how to innovate. And that's the key thing that has been done over the last couple of years and has really helped the organization move forward. How do you use analytics to maximize customer experience? So from the loan taking process to increasing customer engagement, DBS has tried to maximize the use of tools and platforms to enhance each segment of their banking experience. For example, in 2011, by using their interaction analytics, they had improved their customer engagement by minimizing the average 15-second response. So key metrics measured time and again to ensure that they deliver to a greater customer experience has been the key. And in this context, I would like to talk about what Hansa Security does and introduce to you the step up model, which we keep on talking about with all our clients from a customer experience framework point of view. So strategy is the first S of the step up strategy, which includes defining organizational goals, KPIs, specifics for the kind of customer experience you want to deliver, and why is it relevant for your brand. And how do you go about it? Technology, designing the right solution architecture, keeping the unique customer journey of the brand, organization in mind and of the customer in mind. One should go for the best in class point solutions. I would like to emphasize on the point here, it's point solutions rather than buy one behemoth stack that does everything or pretends to do everything. The power is in the integration and the orchestration of the entire strategy. And of course, the key to all of this is empowering people, getting different silos to collaborate and empower them to take decisions. Customers do not differentiate between marketing, sales, after sales, pre-sales. They believe in the organization. For them, that is one single point of contact. So as long as your people coordinate and give a single interface to the customer, that is the winning strategy. Otherwise, everything else fails from a unique customer experience point of view. And of course, this is where the rubber meets the road, and this is where most people lose the plot. The process, the governance mechanisms, the review mechanisms, the reboot mechanism, the ability to course correct, the pace at which you need to course correct or change course midstream is what will drive the customer experience. We try to measure everything, we generate hundreds of reports. Not 5 people look at some of those reports. So measure everything, but action data points that will have the largest impact and make a telling difference to the customer experience. So I think even if you do 5 things right, there will be a huge difference from a customer experience point of view. With so much complexity and technological ambiguity around marketers, we really have the task cut out, and we really need to step up our game in this context. I think brands are beginning to understand this. Brands are taking cognizance of this and moving in the right direction. The Hansa Security Customer Experience Framework, very quickly, I think it's a unique and differentiated strategy that will emerge from the business and the customer. It is a jugalbandi that very few brands actually understand at this point of time. What we see often is a cacophony of a mishmash of efforts made to provide superlative experience, leaving the customer baffled. You bombard that poor guy with so much information which is not relevant, not contextual, not at the right time. And then you feel that why didn't my strategy work? Of course it did not work. So Hansa Security works with multiple brands and stakeholders over the years and has provided advisory on how connected customer experiences will give brands and organizations a sustainable competitive advantage and be a value multiplier for businesses. And in this context, anticipation, the ability to anticipate, is the toughest one and is the most strategic. It requires brands to know their customers well, understand how the product and service fits into their life, developing an intent-driven strategy. What is the intent of the customer, and how can you catch him in that moment, or the micro moment that we call it? How do you create customer segments and clusters which are unique and not defined by demographics at any point of time? How do you develop multiple customer journeys? A customer may have a starting point at a retail outlet, at a digital platform, at an app, through a reference, through a mail, through a call center contact. How do you create those multiple customer journeys without compromising on the customer experience? And in that context, creating a customer single view becomes very important And then how do you use customer analytics, customer lifetime value to enrich the business value of the brand and the organization. The second important part is nudge. Of course, a favorite subject of mine. This comes from behavioral economics. To nudge, brands and services will need to develop a deep understanding of customer behavior, and this is an evolving science. Of course, it is used big time in public policy as a concept which became big with Nobel laureate Richard Thaler, and of course Barack Obama having a behavioral economics team in the White House. And today, almost all governments, including the Indian government, has a behavioral economics arm which tells them how to drive public policy. And I see no reason why organizations and brands should not have nudge is an integral part, or behavioral economics is an integral part of understanding customer behavior, and hence ability to influence customer experience. So understand why they do what they do, and most importantly, when are they ready for you. And this is what behavioral data will tell you. It requires putting together deep and enriched contextual data. Recency and having live customer data are of course paramount. Intents and interests are ever changing. The population is ever changing. So if you have a model which is 6, 12, 15 months old, it's probably not relevant today. You need to keep on refreshing and repopulating to ensure that there is recency and there is live customer data for you to give great customer experiences. Using strategic marketing tools like the Hansa Security connected marketing platform, understand customer needs. It not only uses third-party data, but also effectively incorporates proprietary behavioral data to ensure more precise targeting. In fact, we layer with a lot more data, including a lot of government data about the health of the country, about the financial habits of the country, and then it becomes much more contextual, much more relevant, and it drills down to the pin code to ensure that we really know what we're doing, and then we measure those things to attribute it to different actions taken on the ground and deliver return on investments. The most underestimated part of the framework, according to me, is the curation of the data. The customer has expressed a desire to say buy an SUV, but now that must be the starting point and not the end point, right? I mean, somehow you figured out that he goes on trips, long trips, he likes the wild, he's a traveler, and he's a rugged personality, and he wants to buy an SUV. So how do you understand his life stage? Is it a need for a batch, or is it a genuine customer behavior? Is it a utility product for him? Is he driven by the looks? Is he driven by the price? Is he driven by the performance? How do you understand the behavior and then give him curated content? Develop a strategy, address it as a segment of fun, develop unique offerings that differentiate clusters and readily empathize with them. And personalize it, but personalize it to the right degree. Don't creep the hell out of the guy. Just be on the right side of the law always, and that's what we do. Personalize to the right degree. Do not overdo the personalization bit. And lastly is measure everything. Execute a strategy in real time, respond, solve the problems, automate as much as possible, uh, as uh, as quickly as possible, and then measure, adjust, improvise, and repeat the entire process. That in a nutshell will tell you what a customer experience framework looks like, and that for me is the essence of a good customer experience strategy which most brands and organizations need to undertake. And that's what our advisory is to a lot of our clients. And of course, in this context, I say that CRM has served the world well for the last 30 years, but it's time to move on. It's time to get into a more experience management zone. It is time to go for relationships to move beyond interactions, to be driven by experiences which delight customers and get them to keep coming back to you. And in this context, I would say the biggest transformation or the biggest change that is required is a mindset change of people. And unless that happens, the organizations will never be able to deliver a great customer experience. I think customer experience is here to stay. and is here quickly taking over from customer relationship management. The always connected customer is going to be the norm, and no marketing guru, I can assure you that, can stitch together the entire brand experience on his own. The days of CRM teams just putting together a strategy and then executing and feeling that it has delivered great results are over. There needs to be collaboration in the organization at every level to deliver this, and it requires an organization wide commitment. The leadership team, the technology team, the sales team, and all the process owners will have to come together and agree on one customer experience that is required to stay relevant in today's market. Put in place the required technology, monitor 24/7 to ensure that the brand lives through the experience. CRM, as I said, has served the brand well, organizations well, but only CXM will ensure that brands and organizations thrive and survive. And more on it later, but very quickly, we'll be coming up with a return on experience, which is where things are headed today, and how do you measure actually the return on experience. So moving from ROI to ROE is the next big story and next big trend. How it will unfold, I don't think only time will tell. It's matter of time that it will happen. Uh, Happy to take questions now. Happy to have a chat with you. I already had a couple of questions actually come in yesterday from the US, and I would take those questions first. I will answer those questions first, and then probably if anybody has a few more questions, I will take those up. So the first question which came up was, do you believe that CX as we know it today has been driven by millennial generation? So, I was actually talking to a few colleagues of mine, and then I paused because this question comes from the US and not from the Indian market. Because even in India, I see a lot of marketers discussing millennials and all. So I kind of get disgusted when we have millennial kind of conversation. So there's no millennial in India, right? There are people 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, and 20-year-olds. We should not bucket them, and we should not try to brand them, and we should use them as each of them as in unique individuals. So from an Indian context, the story is very different, but yes, in the US, and yes, if you ask for a generalization, customer experience is driven by the millennial, will be driven in the future by the millennial generation. And I'll tell you why, because they are used to these services. So for my children, Uber is not a new experience. It's been around for a few years now, and that's the way they travel. Airbnb is not a unique experience. Spotify is not a unique experience. That's the way they are being brought up. So if that is their first customer experience and that's their first interaction of convenience, then their expectations are only going to be higher going forward, and they will definitely be driving customer experience as most of us or senior management teams have not seen in the past before. The second question, do you think that millennials are capable of driving customer experience to a standard that will achieve business success? So understand where this is coming from. Shared services, Amazon, 20 years in the market, only 1/4 of profit. Uber goes to an IPO, and in the IPO document itself mentions that we don't know when we are going to be profitable. So business success is actually it's a paradox at this point of time. Innovation and hope that the businesses will succeed in the long term, gain a monopoly or get customers habituated or addicted to my services is the hope, and that's how most businesses are built over a period of time. So yes, we don't understand some of the valuation games that are being played out in the market, but definitely if you look at customer experience even for the existing brands, so for example if you talk about Southwest Airlines again, and the USA Bank, if you're talking about the USA piece, all of them are driven by customer experience, and they've been very largely successful. Some of the leading automotive brands in the world, all the German brands, of course, they've been driven primarily by the product that they offer, but even the experience piece has been dialed up big time to ensure that business success is maintained. So I think yes, customer experience standard will drive business results over a period of time. At this point of time, it might not look like it is delivering, but I'm pretty certain that over a period of time, it will deliver. The third question which I have coming up is, realistically, how long will it take to train Indians on the discipline, accountability, and empathy to implement customer experience successfully? First time on time and every time. The getting this first time right is a concept I've been exposed to some 25 years back. Very few people in the world will get it right. Okay, and it's a process. um, it is a, and you can say it's, for some it's an inbuilt skill, for most it's a learning process. And I think large organizations will struggle to get the discipline going, get the accountability going, get the empathy going. And again, in this context, I repeatedly keep saying that it has to come from the top, and then it has to be percolated down to the teams. So if your managing director is on Twitter and he keeps responding and he feels that he's doing great customer service, it's not going to help the brand after the first few hundred tweets, except getting the acknowledgement, oh, the managing director responded to what I'm saying. But if the issues are not addressed, if the resolution is not quick enough, if the follow through is not there, the experience is not there, and it will not work. So yes, realistically, frankly, if you ask me, I can't put a number to it and say it will take 2 years or 3 years, but it will be key to survival over the next 3 years as we move to an economy where we have multiple options. From a scarce economy, I think we are moving on, and once that happens in full bloom, there will be a business need to ensure that the teams are trained, discipline is there, and accountability is there to ensure that we get customer experience right, and hopefully get it right the first time. The next question: how do you think a technology platform can become successful? Well, I think if you look at all the tech companies, all tech companies are very successful, right? Look at Adobe, look at IBM, look at all the players in Oracle, all these players, very successful in the marketplace. I think they are driving the market, unfortunately, at this point of time, and they demand what they dictate what customer experience should be because of what their platforms offer. But that's not necessarily what the customer needs, right? All the time. So you need to take a call as to what platform works best for you, what needs does it satisfy, and even before that, what are your business objectives to deliver that customer experience. So none of these pieces will work in isolation. It's all a jigsaw puzzle. It will fall in place if the strategy is right, if the thought process is right, if the framework is right. So technology platform, I think, inevitably will lead to success, but provided you make the right choice, you plug it in at the right spot, and then you maximize it, basically is the key to success. uh, thank you, everyone. If there is any other question which anybody would like to ask, happy to take. Okay, so thank you for joining me. This is part of the Hansa Security webinar knowledge sharing series. We will be back very soon with sessions in the analytics space, in the marketing technology space, in the digital journey space, in the consulting space. So keep an eye out on all the social handles from Hansa Security, and happy to engage with you. You know where to reach us. Thank you for joining us.